Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to another episode of Clangin and Bangin with Mikey, 134. And we're 7 weeks out as of Friday. Um yeah, your boy's tired. I'm tired. But it's all a part of the game. It's all a part of the process. It's interesting because a lot of the times when guys go through particular challenges or changes like this, we have a tendency to get isolated. I was talking to an IBB pro that I know personally, at my gym yesterday, and he's asking me, "Oh, hey man, how you doing? Hey man, but you looking good, this and this." And I said, "Yeah, I'm just trying to control what I can control, man. It's because it's like it's so, it's like with bodybuilding, bro. You gotta tap into that space, that nothing else really matters, and you know it works because however long your prep is for, whether it's 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 20 weeks, when you get down to the nitty gritty of it, to the the meat and potatoes of it, the single weeks, this is where it matters. um, and you can't let anything else get in your way. And I don't want to say that nothing else matters, but nothing on nothing of non-importance matters. And I think that's where a lot of people fuck up at, though. They they let things bother them, or they let things interfere with their situation that has nothing to do with the outcome of your goal. I hate to say this, but I'm not the one who you call to talk about your relationship issues. I'm not the one you call to talk, to talk nonsense with, because it's just not gonna happen. Um, I'm either I'm either gonna decline the phone call, ignore the text message, or not engage in conversation. Uh, I had this one person that I know. I had to tell her like, hey, just because I'm quiet with you doesn't mean I'm mad at you. I just don't have the energy for to engage in conversation. I don't have the energy to explain myself all the time because I don't. I really don't. And it's not nothing against this individual, nothing against people in general. But it's like if the conversation has nothing of value to me, I'm not gonna entertain it because there's no point. Like what I look like entertaining something that's not worth my time or energy. Um, I overheard somebody say once, it's like, hey, unless I can't add value or I can't learn anything from the situation, I'm not gonna say anything. And it makes sense, not just in prep, but in general. Because there's a lot of people out here who talk nonsense. There's a lot of people out here who just don't have fulfilling conversations. And it's like, they just love to talk just for the hell of it. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. And I think it's important to realize that too. Because I was running across Twitter. And Twitter's a cesspool. And I ran across an artist, Lotto. And it was a clip of an interview saying that all these men want traditional women, but they're not traditional themselves, yada, yada, yada. And what I noticed is that the ones who speak about traditional people not being, who they are, this and this and that, are the loudest ones in the room. And those are the ones that nobody's dating, nobody wants to marry, or they're single mothers for a reason. And it just made me think what a traditional woman is. Matter of fact, let's go look it up real quick. Look it up on Google. Oh, here it is. Now it's working. Type in on Google. What is a traditional woman? What is a tradition? So, according to Google, a traditional woman is a woman associated with traditional gender roles, norms, and values that have been assigned to her by society since time began, right? Basically, that's what it says. A traditional woman's role in society is directed towards homemaking, caregiving to her children, raising them to be upstanding members of society, which is true. You know, in the grand scheme of things, that's 100% true. Now, let's look up what a traditional man is. A traditional man definition by Google is, a man would be expected to work to provide for his wife and children. He was expected to financially support his home by putting food on the table and taking care of the basic needs of the family, which is true. Nowhere in those definitions did it say, that, the difference of a traditional woman and a traditional man is different. Because if you look at it, it didn't say that the women don't go to work, or they don't work a 40-hour work week, or whatever it is, yada yada yada. And I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with that. Gender roles, is different, because when they say gender roles, they talking about what women and men instinctively do. Women are going to be naturally softer towards children, simply because it's in their DNA, and men are going to be more stern and basically more rigid, because the world's different for us, right? And it goes hand in hand. I'm not saying that my future wife she's gotta work a 40-hour work week and come home and cook me dinner, or she gotta work a 40-hour work week and still come home and do laundry. I'm not saying all that. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is that if you want a traditional individual, you kind of got to be traditional yourself. And it doesn't mean being a breadwinner. It doesn't mean being, making the most money, whatever it is. Because, my wife could make more money than me. I'm like, okay, cool, baby, whatever. Do your thing, but I won't expect her to pay the bills or whatever it is, or I won't expect her, to do X, Y, and Z, because that's not her responsibility. And when I ran across that video, like I said, usually the loudest ones in the room, those are the ones that nobody's dating at all. So it's like, so he's saying that all this stuff about traditional men and traditional women, and it's like, you're not even traditional yourself. Because it's like, if a man asks you to do something or whatever it is, you want to catch an attitude. And I think that's a lot of women's problem. It's like, they want to have the same roles as men, and they don't realize that they're not built for it. They don't realize that, that they don't have the same testicular fortitude, to deal with the harshness of the world. Because it's funny when women call themselves independent, but yet, but yet they still depend on everybody else. They live at home for X, Y, and Z reasons. And this and this and that. They date men who aren't, who don't provide, who don't protect, and who don't bring peace, which is 3 important P's: provide, protect, and peace. But yet they want to be, considered independent or traditional. It's like, no, you're not. And a lot of these women who say that, or women like Lotto, who scream traditional men and ain't shit, this and this and that, it's like, yo, maybe it's not them, maybe it's you, because the energy you put out is gonna come right back to you. And that's a big thing. That's a huge thing. A lot of people don't realize that. It's like the energy that you put out will come back to you. You know, so if you out there doing some fuck shit, or if you out there, running around, being a hoe, and I don't. When I say hoe, I don't mean just women. I mean men too. If you out here just being wild in these streets and doing whatever, uh, you gonna get that same energy back. I've been in situations where um I've treated women, as friends, this and that, and then they throw a curveball into it, and now it's a sexual situation, and when they come with that energy, and that's all they come with is the physical shit, and they want to be like, oh, X, Y, and Z, yada yada yada, but they don't realize when you come with that energy, you gotta stay with that energy. And if you don't stay with that energy, it's gonna get bad for you, because it's like, I can't speak for all men. I can just speak for myself. When the energy in the room switches up, and it's not because I did it, it's because you wanted it to go in that direction, I'm gonna match that, and I'm gonna match that energy. And if all we talk about is sexual shit, or this and that, yada yada yada, I'm just gonna assume that's what you want. And if that's what you want, and then I'm gonna give it to you, But you can't turn around and complain how you treated after the fact, because, if you want it different, you should have approached me a lot differently. And I think that's what a lot of women fuck up at, though, because like guys, we can just look at sex and just think, okay, just sex, whatever. But women, they get attached, they get X, Y, and Z, they their feelings get involved in the situation, you know. Whereas guys will look at the situation and be like, oh, but you did X, Y, and Z. And every single time that we try to connect with you on a different level, we got no response. Only response is when we reciprocated that sexual energy. So don't get mad at us when the energy that you're giving out is something that you can't maintain. The energy that you're giving out is something that you can't uphold. And I think that's where a lot of people screw up at, though. It's like they just expect the energy to switch up and change. It's like, no, it doesn't, because it's really hard for a man to look at a woman in a different way after we've already smashed, after we've already seen you naked, and did X, Y, and Z. It's really hard for us to do that. I was talking to one of my homegirls, and we cool as the other side of the pillow, and she asked me something like, hey, what did she say? And she's married too, and she had asked her husband the same question, after she asked me, and she said, is it, and the question was about cheating, and I said, and she asked me, oh, well, let's say you was cheating on your significant other, and she took you back, would that stop you from cheating? And I said, in this hypothetical situation, if she knew I cheated, and she found out that I cheated, and she took me back, no, I would not stop cheating, because that shows me how you think about yourself. That shows me how you value yourself. And you can't complain. You can't complain how you treated, because you're showing us indirectly, non-verbally, how you want to be treated. That you're okay with being the second string person, that you're okay with being the side piece, that you're okay with, being disrespected, because if you weren't okay with it, you wouldn't be doing it. And her husband basically said the exact same thing, and she's like, that's crazy, because my husband said the same thing. I was like, yeah. And so I have no sympathy when women, take back dudes who are cheaters, and they want to bitch and moan about it, yada yada yada. I'm like, no, it's like, you can't complain about it, because this is what you wanted, this is what you got. And again, it goes back to traditional women and being a traditional man. It's like, gender roles is one thing, but it's like, a lot of women will be, a lot of women will live in the masculine energy and not realizing they're not living in masculine energy at all. What they're living in is basically the inability to be emotionally available. They just say masculine energy. And when women say that, I simply say, like, yo, who hurt you? Because there's only one reason why you would put up a wall. You don't put up a wall to keep people out. You put up not to just keep people out. You put up a wall to basically isolate yourself too. And so at the end of the day, when shit goes left, and it always does go left, um, it's imperative to realize that what you go through as an individual isn't necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, it's like you can't say that men, that men are shit, this and this and that, when you're choosing these people hand over hand, when you're choosing these individuals constantly, when you're choosing people who aren't good for you or who aren't, who aren't what you want, your image to be, or not even image, or just in general, like when you're choosing people who just aren't good for you, it's like for me, because a lot of the times, I don't really go out that much because number one, I'm a competitive bodybuilder, and number two, I don't like crowds, man, and I don't really drink, so it's like it doesn't make any sense to me to do all that shit. And like I may go out once or twice a year, have a drink or two, but that's about it, man. I don't really do anything crazy like that. And and so with that, man, I think it's important to realize that I think a lot of people, when they say, well, because I've dealt with girls who be like, yeah, I'm gonna live in my masculine energy until it's safe for me to be around people, safe for me to drop it. I'm like, if you're gonna do that, that means you're never gonna be safe. If you gotta constantly have your guard up, and because most of the women that I meet, most of the women that I talk to, I'll say about 50% of them is online, because you end up talking story with people on Bumble, Tinder, whatever it is, and I'm upfront with it, and I'm like, yo, I got a physical disability, I walk with a limp, yada yada yada, and if that's a deal breaker, then cool, let me know. Don't waste my time. I won't waste your time, because there's no point for us, to exchange phone numbers and set up dates if you ain't feeling a nigga, and which is true, because it's like, why sit there and waste my time, Why sit there and waste my time if you can't look past the physical disability? Because I've had women tell me like, oh yeah, well, like you're really confident and outgoing, with somebody with CP, and I'm like, yeah, and your point, and I don't necessarily vibe with that, because I know exactly what they're saying. What they're saying is that they haven't met anybody like me who's confident and outgoing, I mean, I wasn't always like this, and you guys can look past, look at past episodes, because there's 133 episodes where I discuss not essentially the same thing, but I hit on the same topics. But traditional men and traditional women, man, it's like a lot of people think that, oh yeah, traditional women, all they do is cook, clean, and screw their husbands and produce kids. Nah, nah. That's just motherfuckers who don't know what a traditional woman is. A traditional woman, in my point of view, is a woman she's gonna be your number one cheerleader. She's gonna be your coach. She's gonna be your therapist. She's gonna be she's gonna be a pep talker. She's gonna let you know when you're off your game. And like, she's never gonna sit down and watch the man that she loves fuck up. And she's not gonna sit there and say X, Y, and Z. She's not gonna let you sit there and stumble. She's gonna be like, hey man, you doing X, Y, and Z. Like, you need to stop doing this shit, because it's detrimental to what we got going on. And what we got going on is a lot more important than, the longevity of this. And it's true. a lot of people will think that that's all a woman is. It's like, no. In the grand scheme of things, if you strip everything away, men and women, yeah, that's what we're here for. Production, reproduction, and populating the earth. But there's more to women and men than just that. You have to be able to connect with somebody on an emotional level too, on a psychological level. You have to have that emotional and mental connection, because everybody's attractive to a point of view. Hell, I've been called handsome more often than not, and I get it because I am, and that's not me tooting my own horn, but I know I'm attractive. But at the same time, there's more to me than just my physical looks. Physically, I'm cool. I have no problem in that arena at all. But if you can't stimulate me emotionally and mentally, then what are we doing? Like, if I can't sit there, excuse me, if I can't sit there and have a conversation with you, whether it's silly, serious, whatever it is, hell, it could be about, hey, baby, what you think about aliens? You think them motherfuckers exist? Silly conversations, right? Having the ability to switch between that and a serious conversation. Be like, hey man, we saving up for our house or whatever it is, or we saving up for a brand new car, or or the car that we got now, it's giving us issues. How about we come up with a payment plan or save some money on the side so we can get this shit fixed. So it just shit like that. It's a lot of things that people don't realize. It's like everybody's attractive physically, but few people are attractive mentally. And a lot of these people, man, and men and women in general, my father used to always say, I'm gonna leave y'all with this. My father used to always say, everybody's smart until you open your mouth. What he meant by that is like, what you say leaves an impact on people far after you leave. So be smart with what you say. Be intelligent with how you say it and what you say it. Have emphasis on and speak with intelligence. Understand that what you say carries a lot of weight. Anyway, y'all, this is about 23 minutes of your life that y'all won't get back. Thank y'all. Love y'all. I'll see y'all next week. I hope y'all keep it in the 4 Ps. Private player, positive pushing. I really need to make that into a t-shirt because I've been saying that for forever. So I got to do that. But yeah, I'll see y'all next week, Sunday. Love y'all. And like I always say, know your worth. Goes.